Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Fifer. Welcome to Conversations on Retail. We are here today with our friend Darren Cleugh from Ocucon. Ocucon is based in England and has a tremendous amount of incredible technology that they offer in the area of loss prevention, asset protection, et cetera. So we're delighted to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Darren, you're a sales and marketing strategist for Ocucon. Talk a little bit about your background. What have you done sort of professionally to lead up to this this assignment at Ocucon?
Read electronics at uni. Always wanted to either design aeroplanes or fly them. Didn't think I had what it potentially took on the flying side. Eyesight's never been too great. Briefly worked in avionics in between second and third years uni. Not the industry for me. Graduated in '92. Big recession on in the UK at that point in time, which was the previous to the global financial crisis of 2008. Ended up as an accountant for an American firm called Arthur Andersen, and just gravitated towards sales and marketing. So after a period then, joined what was at the time a relatively fresh startup, grew that to top 10 retailer within its sector. So I come from a very strong retailing background, spent in excess of 22, 23 years within retail. We were online at a very early stage, so more than alive to the stresses and strains that online trading put on high street retailers. We grew up as a high street retail business. Exited that business around about 2015, and just been did a spell within consultancy and joined Ocucon around about 3 years ago. So predominantly spent a huge amount of time within sales and marketing, not just face to face, but also online content development, etc. And quite significant experience of growing businesses hands-on. So hopefully that gave you what you needed.
Well, introduce us to Ocucon. Tell us about the origins of the business and talk about what it is you're doing today.
Yeah, so Ocucon was founded in 2016. The founder, Gary Trotter, who's the CEO of Ocucon, originally had an integration business within the UK. So automatically lent itself towards CCTV. And Ocucon has basically sprung out of that, but in terms of software. In other words, we specialize in developing innovative software solutions that mitigate risk for business. We're a multi-award winning company, and we've got, as you can see from our website, a number of products in use with large banners, anything from compliance or Pixelate, which is a GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation product for being able to redact individuals when you receive subject access requests. That's a huge issue within the UK and Europe. You've got similar issues impacting in the US with CCTV or the California Consumer Privacy Act, which I would imagine will start rolling throughout the US. So we've got a solution ready to go for that. It's in use with a number of, as I said, large banners in the UK and a number of large grocers. We're particularly active within the retail vertical. We also will develop not just market-driven solutions, as you'll see on our website with regards to spill detect and hazard detect, but we'll also develop customer-driven solutions. So, for example, during those horrible times out with COVID, Aldi approached us to develop an occupancy management solution where it would they were having a couple of issues, predominantly driven around having to man or provide door marshals with just basically click counters to monitor occupancy level in line with government guidelines. That was giving them a cost in terms of having to rotate a number of crews per day because of the opening hours that they were running to. In addition, I don't know what it was like in the UK through those times, but we were getting stressed supply chains. So when you've got humans going, no, you've got an instant flashpoint. Through the technology we put in, we rolled out one of our body detection models, which is highly accurate. That removed the need for door marshals. It wasn't anything like PIR, which would be given false. It would just give an inaccurate count. It'd be pinging off trolleys. God knows what broke the beam. This was AI. Was a body detection model. Gave incredible accuracy. And when they hit the occupancy level, doors shut. Traffic light system just went from green to red. And customers just stood happily in line and waited for their turn to go into the store. And We rolled that out, believe it or not, across over 1,000 stores in 9 weeks, which gives an indication of our capability to deliver at scale.
Yeah, incredible. Talk a little bit about your footprint. Where are you currently operating? Geography? Which countries do you have a presence? And what is sort of your sweet spot? What size retailer suits you best? What category of retail operations suits you best?
That varies across our product range. So Pixelate, it's a very cost-effective solution for anyone that has been hit with subject access requests for CCTV. Subscriptions start as little as £25 per month. You then move on to some of our enterprise solutions, things like or products like Spill Detect or Hazard Detect. When you're talking sweet spot for those products, you're talking large retailers, and particularly grocery for Spill Detect. Grocery, we've got some great data which indicates that for about every 100,000 transactions through the till, a grocer will be hit for one slip and trip claim. And bearing in mind, these slip and trip claims can be anything in excess of $50,000 per claim. It gives you an indication of the level of liability pending the amount of transactions they're doing. So obviously top 20 grocers within the US and similarly across Europe and into Southern Hemisphere as well, which is where we're typically active across the globe rather.
Talk a little bit more about some of the case studies, and maybe go sort of product by product and take us through what have been some of your most memorable engagements, the problems that you've solved with the company's capabilities.
Yeah, I've got to be careful because we operate a number of our products under NDA.
Of course.
In terms of generic cases that we're being involved in, we're currently in the midst of exciting times. We've got a number of discussions underway, which we'll hopefully be making some big announcements in the coming months. But driving predominantly changing more correctly human behaviour. When you dig into either Spill Detect or things like OSHA compliance, which is a big issue in the States, we have similar compliance issues in the UK with regards to the health and safety executive. But things like backroom issues, people just not spotting and reacting to blocked fire exits and driving behaviours to keep those clean. Making big improvements in health and safety through using technology. It's really interesting, Matt, when you dig into the research. Humans typically exhibit a poor perception of risk. I don't know if you've ever gone to psychology or heuristics of decision making. It's the way humans are wired. We just have a natural tendency to take shortcuts, particularly when operating under pressure.
Yeah.
Retail is, from my experience, pretty much a pressured environment, particularly when you're on the floor and you're dealing with customers. And that can just force a number of bad decisions at that point in time. Humans are not good at following strict rules. If we were, we wouldn't need a police force, but every nation on the planet has one. You flip that into technology. Technology is programmed to follow strict rules. Humans excel in areas of strategy formulation. That's where technology struggles. So if you start bringing the two together, you start ending up with a product that's greater than the sum of the components. And when you look at driving efficiency within business, that is where it's at in terms of operational efficiency, and that's where businesses can make a huge difference. I did a sweep of UK grocers probably about 18 months ago, and you looked at their gross margin. The variance across the top 10 was as little as about 1%. And that sort of makes sense when you think about it. If you break revenue down, what drives revenue? It's basically just the sum of the products that any given business sells. But competitive forces determines what you can extract from that marketplace for those products. You then look at cost of goods sold. They all know the importance of having highly capable teams that can negotiate the right price. So they all make investments within that. So when you look at it almost at a high level, you've just got a pinched gross margin. Trying to distort that becomes very difficult. But where the differential becomes is, let's start looking at operations, operational efficiency, productivity. And when you can start distorting or improving within that area, washes instantly down your bottom line. That drives your free cash flow. Future free cash flows are used by investment houses to value your bit. So you can just see how you just get this wonderful accelerator by focusing on key areas. And if you look at what our technology does, it facilitates action through serving real-time alerts, through being able to allow those that adopt our technology to deploy that assets in a rapid and effective manner. I think I was talking to a customer not so long ago, and a great analogy came out of it. In the UK, we have the Royal Air Force. Obviously, in America, it's the USAF. Imagine having the USAF without any form of early warning. What do they do? How do they deploy? That is a huge sky up there. How do you get those assets in the right place to deal with any incoming threat? Also, do you have the right number of assets, or do you not have enough?
Yeah.
So when you think of it contextually, I think that's a great analogy, which someone kindly posted on our LinkedIn page. But it's, I think that really starts to open your eyes. And when you get into the cost of slips and trips, not just in terms of using technology to do the right thing, in terms of looking after your employees and your customers and helping businesses that to potentially differentiate themselves through becoming the safest place to work and shop. But when you look at the hard business case underneath, in the US, the cost of slips and trips is over $11 billion per annum. It's huge.
Yeah.
And for some large grocers over there, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars per annum.
Yeah.
And that's just one big black hole.
Yeah. Well, in the case of slips and trips, as you well know, they can lead to devastating financial losses, especially if it's determined that there was gross negligence involved. And so why not have a means by which you can identify and immediately act upon those hazards before they become an issue? I get so excited having conversations with people like you from companies like yours, because 5 years ago, I think, and I could be wrong, but this is certainly my perspective. 5 years ago, the industry broadly, markets are different, of course, but retailers were opening so many stores that there was enough top line sales growth that came from that incremental square footage that I think maybe operators broadly speaking, got a little bit lazy when it came to the efficiency of the operation, because there was enough top line sales growth to sort of take them where they needed to be. And now that you've seen a slowdown, even a pullback in retail square footage, the efficiency of the operation becomes all the more important. And that has ramifications with respect to assortment on the shelves, making sure that you're getting every bit of productivity from a sales per square foot standpoint. But it also means keeping every single dollar that you possibly can by eliminating that leakage that comes from unnecessary claims. So that's what I love about the industry that you're in. What I love about your business is that you're not just aggregating all of this data to be looked at in order to build some sort of predictive analytics, down the road. It really is all about real time, the ability to identify and respond to things that could become a big problem very, very quickly.
Yeah. And the use cases of being involved, what has really opened the eyes of those that we have engaged with is the amount of incidents that happen. They only see the ones they're actually paying out on. When they actually see what is going on within their retail space, it's quite an eye opener. But it's also not shocking to some extent, because there's just up until now, people just haven't been able to get this data. So, for example, if you are a retailer or a business with a multi-$100 problem per annum reoccurring, or for some that's nudging $1 billion, you'd normally approach a large consultancy firm, whether McKinsey or Boston Consultancy Groups or one of the big four. You would then hand them the data. This is the data. This is the problem. Come up with a strategy, some deliverables. We then look at it. They would pay a fortune for that. Then look at whatever execution plan they were then going to have to roll out to take care of these issues. The problem companies have got is that they don't have the data. They've got no way of extracting this data from the system.
Right.
We can give them that. And when you look at, for example, slips and trips, what drives them is contaminated flooring. Yeah. So you have start point, end point. We can start giving them that data, not only generating real-time alerts, but you look at the benefits, it's multifaceted. you've got that start and end point, so they can start correlating that period to the financial payouts, which is ultimately their risk profile. We can give audit trails to then help them understand the relationship as they start managing that response time down.
Yeah.
And they can obviously, again, see the benefits from the reduced risk and negated liability they're getting from that, then hit that sweet spot where, okay, this is where we need to be, and then get that level of consistency across their retail network. We're generating meaningful metrics. They can build KPIs from that, and in doing so, provide an extremely safe environment for not just for their customers, but for their workforce, their associates, which is a great use of technology.
Yeah.
So again, as I said, multifaceted. Yeah.
Well, without offering too much commentary on the condition of our societies, fraud absolutely plays into this as well. I mean, there are out there, honest to goodness hazards and people that the slips and trips are real, but at the same time, there are situations where accidents are staged and very much intentional, and having the ability not only to head off the legitimate, but also to provide a digitally documented defense for those that where the retailer really isn't responsible becomes more and more important as well.
Yeah, and it also allows those organizations to advertise that and push, shall we say, those people that may try and game the system away because they know they're not going to get away with it.
Right. Well, so exciting. Anything to offer with respect to the future of your business? I mean, obviously, you don't want to give anything away that's not ready for public consumption, but can you talk a little bit about some of the tools and capabilities, some of the problems that Ocucon's working to solve now?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little insight into terms, and again, this is openly available on our website. The way we have built this system is extremely elegant. It's low touch, it's low bandwidth. So we're not streaming video. We are just interrogating the data that CCTV systems are already capturing. Whether it's spill hazard, we've essentially developed an image recognition platform. So we interrogate CCTV, lift image packets or pull them for image packets at regular intervals. So we are just extracting small data bundles, which we then put through a model, which we then can notify upon, depend upon what we detect within that imagery. Those real-time alerts obviously facilitate action in terms of associates to deal with whatever that issue is. We then have full dashboard reporting and full dashboard interface, which will be used at a higher level in terms of extracting the metrics that senior decision makers require. The notifications we can customize and bespoke on a customer by customer basis, whether email, text, SMS, even a headset, which is quite popular for some, particularly in the UK, to facilitate immediate action. But what we're detecting upon can be anything. So we can just run multiple models over the same data. So we've got obviously spill detect. We've recently just launched our OSHA compliance module for detecting blocked fire exits, escape or pathways, electrical panels, fire extinguishers. We've got additional models coming within our roadmap, for example, specific trip hazards, etc. The fruit and veg aisles can be a particularly hazardous environment for grocers, if not one of the most hazardous areas within those environments. So detecting issues that can cause people literally to slip or trip on those, in addition to the spill technology that we've developed, which we believe is a true world first, and the ability to detect clear liquids on floors. Obviously, we'll detect colored liquids, condiments, etc. And this is just through standard CCTV.
Yeah.
There's no infrastructure upheaval whatsoever. We're just interrogating the data that these companies are already capturing, but then doing something highly usable with it and releasing incredible latent value from that.
So you've got an incredible suite of products and solutions that are readily available to. Obviously, there would be a fair amount of customization in order to sort of facilitate the implementation wherever you went to work. Are you doing, and obviously you're not going to name names and talk about projects, but do you have the capabilities, and have you been put to work in working with retailers to develop completely built from scratch solutions based on very, very unique needs? Can a retailer come to Ocucon and say, listen, we love your capabilities. We see you've got this suite of services. They're not exactly a fit for us, but does your team have the capability to work alongside that retailer and build something that's sort of custom for them?
Absolutely. And we've had direct experience of that, where an in with one company led to development of another product, which we are currently negotiating rollout with them. So yeah, that's the beauty of AI. We've got this incredible infrastructure that's highly configurable. We can dovetail it. It's great coming out with technology, but it's got to be able to do something meaningful. It's got to be able to integrate within a retailer's environment. Otherwise, you've just got an expensive bell system going off that. It's just got fitting with process or operations or whatever. So we can come in from multiple endpoints in terms of the way we pick up the imagery. We're camera agnostic. We're VMS agnostic. So again, we can just come in as an apology for repeating what I've just said, but an array of different endpoints. We can then customize those notifications, which we have done, to serve them via email, SMS, or whatever works best for that particular retailer. And at the end of the day, we're dealing with AI. We have access and have developed world-leading AI models, which we can educate, we can train, we can develop for an array of different eventualities, which are obviously on our roadmap as we move forward.
Yeah. I think one of the real dangers, now it's not a practical danger because it's going to be head off, but one real danger, there's so much technology right now that's being enabled by cameras. There's technology that focuses on shelf availability. There's technology like yours that's heading off, hazards in store, et cetera. And I think without some controls, without a real strategy being built broadly around this, you could have stores that are just so completely full of cameras that there's not room for much else. So your point is well taken. The systems that can work together and integrate, so you're capturing several data sets through that same point of observation, is going to be critical to the future.
Absolutely. And a lot of this technology sounds wonderful and fantastic. We cannot lose sight of what are we using it for. It needs to facilitate and help that huge investment all retailers make in human capital. It has to make sense at that level.
Yeah.
It's got to facilitate and help guide their deployment and actions. Once they're there, humans, as we all know, excel at developing mitigation strategies to deal with what's in front of them. Technology can't do that. It's really developing, and going back to the analogy I gave a little earlier, a form of early warning for them. Look, this has happened. If you don't respond to it, this is the potential outcome. The cost can be horrific, but by giving that heads up, that notification in a way that makes sense, those assets are deployed, or the human capital is deployed in a meaningful, efficient, and productive manner to take care of that. I was having a chat with a shopping centre operator in the Southern Hemisphere recently. And we've got these crews sitting around. We can potentially save costs, but I was like, hold on a minute. You have no idea of, at this point in time, on the real demands that those crews need to take care of. You might need to invest more within those crews, but the benefit at the end of the day will be ROI because you're taking care of those costs. At the minute, you've got that asset there, you've got this issue and no correlation between one and the other. So it's how we develop that understanding, deal with it, and take care of mitigating that risk, but also negating the liability that comes with it.
Yeah. I think one of the points that sometimes gets overlooked, and we talked about this on another conversation I hosted recently, but the power of technology to sort of prod, if you will, for example, if someone knows that they're being watched, then their behavior often is different. So as they're putting that hazard in front of an exit door, emergency exit door, they're like, oh, there's a camera here. I might as well just deal with this now because I'm going to get caught. And the same thing with the things that are trip hazards and spill hazards. I would imagine that a lot of these things, people are paying a lot closer attention because they know that the system is also observing, and it brings people to maybe a higher level of awareness and gives them a greater desire perhaps to intervene earlier. Does that make sense? And is that true?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's guiding priorities. And a classic scenario, and also I think expanding people's understanding of where cost centers arise within business. So, and in addition to that, you've got cognitive shortcuts that can play havoc with those situations as well. So, take this example. You've spotted as an associate walking down an aisle. We have a gap there of X amount of products and the high value products. You know, as does anyone that's been active in retail, if it's not on the shelf, you're not going to sell it.
Right.
Opposite, there's a spill on the floor. That product is very expensive and you could be losing significant amount of sales at that point in time on that particular product range. And there's a small spill down there. What do you take care of first? How do you prioritize that?
Yeah.
You might be making 5% gross margin on a $300 sale. That is a $50,000 to $100,000 accident waiting to happen. So again, it's how you communicate that within the working environment. If you don't respond to the spill and take care of the stock issue, how many of those units are you going to have to sell to take care of what could be a serious issue about to happen? And I think it's given people a greater understanding with regards to changing behaviours through being monitored, watched. You look in any retail outlet, the amount of cameras that are there, they already know they're being watched.
Yeah.
It's not a case of Big Brother. It's a case of let's help you do the job that you've been paid to do better and give you more information to do it in the right way, so you get more reward out of it by doing the right thing. And that leads into helping people with correct decision making. There's a great article that McKinsey put up that I came across a wee while ago with regards to looking at business. I think the title was something along the lines of remove the staggering cost of bad decisions by viewing your organization as a decision factory. And if you look at all those decisions that occur on a minute-to-minute, day-by-day basis within businesses, if you can improve the quality of that decision-making pretty much at the micro level, you sum that up and look at the differential that you're going to get on operations. And that's where I see moving forward, technology, particularly AI, playing a huge role, particularly within retail.
I love that point that you just made, because I think it's something that, for the longest time, surveillance was kind of a dirty word. No one liked the idea of being watched, but the reality is technology is being deployed and surveillance is being used in ways that reinforce good decisions. We had a conversation some time back about, the use of surveillance technology at self-checkout. It's not a gotcha. It's an opportunity to give that shopper one more opportunity to do the right thing. And the same thing with your technology out on the sales floor. It's not a way to punish bad behavior, in a negative situation. It really is to help those associates on the floor head off what could be an absolute disaster for their operations. So
if you go back to the example I just gave, that poor individual stood there in an aisle where they've got a stock issue and a spill event. What do you take care of first? Those from a sales background, like myself, might be completely blindsided. I know that's an issue. It'll be fine. I'll come back to it. I'll take care of the stock issue. Those from a health and safety background may do the complete reverse. But what is the right thing to do? If you educate everybody and they understand the implications of not taking care of it, again, going back to heuristics, things like availability bias, etc. Somebody might be making a decision, well, I've left a spill before and came back to it and nothing bad happened. Great. Apply that line of thought to playing Russian roulette. Just because that first shot got off safely, is there any comfort for the second? The chances actually go down as you go forward.
Right.
So, and again, to me, it's just improving decision making right at the bottom, right at the micro level, and helping that to percolate through organizations, which can, at the macro level, have a massive positive impact.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I'm so excited about Ocucon, about your suite of products and services. And what would be the very best way for someone to reach out to you or someone else in the organization in order to start a conversation?
Just either email me directly at darren.cleugh@ocucon.com, or just pop onto the website, submit a contact form, and we'll respond very, very quickly to them. So any which way, or even through LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there, as you well know. So yeah, anyway, and we would relish the opportunity to engage and push forward.
Sounds great. Darren Cleugh, Sales and Marketing Strategist for Ocucon. It has been such a pleasure getting to know you and the business better. Thank you so much for making the time, and I hope you have a great day.
And you, Matt. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.